This is Joy Foote. Welcome to Pine Mountain, then and now.
Welcome back to Pine Mountain, then and now. Since today happens to be April Fool's Day, I thought it would be the perfect time to dive into some teenage mischief from back in the day. For anyone tuning in for the first time, just a quick reminder that Pine Mountain used to be named Chipley. And today we have a very special guest, Mr. Bo Hastey. You might recognize the name, as Bo is from Chipley. He not only was the president of his high school class, but also voted Mr. Chipley. And in the spirit of kindness, I'll leave the exact year out. I did some digging and found this gem from the high school yearbook about him. Quote, Hastey, popular, friend of all, and sparkling personality, unquote. Trust me, that's still true today. I had the pleasure of getting to know Bo last year, and over some great conversations, I asked him what it was like growing up in our small town. He shared some truly charming stories that I thought would be perfect for April Fool's Day. So let's give a warm welcome to Bo. Thanks so much for joining us today on the podcast. Let's get started with what it was like growing up in Chipley, and I'm especially interested in those pranks you used to pull as a teenager. Handing it over to you, Bo.
All right. Well, Joy, you're right. It was a small town. Everybody knew everybody. Everybody loved everybody. And as a result, the teenagers played together and had a lot of fun. And there were a few things that we did as young guys that we probably shouldn't have done, but it was all out of fun. So I'll tell you about a couple of these if you like. One was we had a police chief here named Police Johnson, and he was the only policeman in town. And we would get up on top of the buildings. If you remember back when Kimber Brothers was there, and all the buildings all the way to the end were connected together. And we get up on the buildings with a slingshot, and we had cherry bombs, which were round cherry bombs. People usually know what they are. And we'd watch Chief Johnson, and when he got down to one end of the town, we'd shoot one of these cherry bombs in the opposite direction, and it would go off, and he thought it was a gunshot, so he would run up there and look at that, and while he was doing that, we'd shoot it back down the other end, and he'd go back down the other end, and we had him running around until we had to run. And then when we ran, we always hid in a place behind Kimber Brothers that was a cottonseed house, and it had a lot of cotton bales in there, and we had already made areas in there where we could hide, and that was our hiding place. So we always ran there to hide. So after he started kind of catching on to us, we ran and hid in there, and nobody could find. There were so many bales in there, it must have been hundreds of them, and we would go in there ahead of time and make us a little place, our little hiding place, and nobody could find us. So
That was ingenious. And I can kind of imagine what it was like. I don't know if you've seen the show Mayberry, but I can kind of imagine it's like Barney Fife, like what's happening? And then he's running from side to side. And I can't imagine that happening today, but that's such a...
It was kind of like that, matter of fact, but it was good. It was good growing up.
So
really
how many like kids were in that group like you hung out with?
Probably about 5 or 6.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you have a reputation like everybody in town kind of knew you boys? And
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, see, we all ran track together and played basketball together and went to school together. And the school, we don't have about maybe 15 in the class at the time.
Right.
So everybody knew everybody.
Right. That's a good
So-
one. I appreciate that. What's the next one you got for me?
Well, one thing we found out while we were hunting around and doing different things in town, we found a place where the railroad, where it was an incline coming into town for the train that was coming in. So we decided that there was a little hill there. We'd probably grease that up and see if the train could get up with the grease on the tracks. So we greased it up. You had to grease it up pretty good little ways. And then the train would come along. It was right behind where Eddie Mays is now. and they couldn't get up the track. It took them all day to try to get up that track. And
So you disrupted the whole train service.
yeah.
Just
yeah,
with you
we-
and like the
yeah,
5 boys
yeah.
and
Yeah, but we didn't sit around to watch it. We ran, and he had way before that, like we didn't have anything to do with it, you know.
oh,
So
I
we were
see.
gone, but we heard about it a lot.
Did you do that more than once?
No.
Okay.
We thought about
You
it.
were like, I don't think I want to do that again.
No, we thought about it, but we didn't want to get caught. doing
Right,
that.
right.
So another one was, I don't know whether you remember, Ken Askew, I think you said that you did, but Ken Askew had built a house right next to his parents' house, and it was a Halloween time, and we found out that Ken and Marguerite, his wife, were going to be gone that night. So we went over there. I won't tell you who else. I'll just admit that I did it, was
Okay.
part of it. So we went over, and he had a nice house that's brand new, and he had his porch furniture out there. So when it was dark, we put it all up on top of his house.
How did you get it up there?
We handed it up to each other, had a rope, pulled it up.
That had a lot of planning.
It did.
Did you have the cotton place available for you?
Oh, yeah.
If you needed to run, you already knew what your escape route was?
Always. That's where we hid. That was the hiding point.
Okay.
So,
And the house is still there, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's still standing? And
yeah.
so this
Yeah.
house, you come over, you take all the porch furniture, you put it on the roof, and then you go hide.
Right.
Did anybody ever find out it was you?
I think, yeah, Ken knew it. I think
Okay.
he found out about it later because he told me a few years back before he died. He said, "I'll never forget that," and he laughed about it.
Aw, that's
He said,
cute.
he said, "I can't believe you did something like that." Not me. He said, "Y'all." You know.
Right.
You know, it wasn't
Right.
just exactly me. Let's see, what else did we do?
You said something about a wallet.
Yeah, we did. Well, you know, back then, a lot of people would walk to town,
Yeah.
and a lot of people didn't have cars back then. So a lot of people would walk to town. So what we do is we take a wallet, a billfolder, and we put a false part of a dollar bill hanging out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And on the sidewalk was divided up into squares where it had creases in between the
Was it like
whole
a
block.
wood decking, like a sidewalk?
No, it was
like
concrete.
It was,
concrete.
okay.
So we'd put that wallet down and stick the dollar bill out the side of it, and then we would run the string down through the little groove that was in between the two concrete blocks. And somebody would walk along, and they'd look at it, and they'd go to pick it up, and we'd pull the string, and they thought something was wrong. They would holler and scream and run.
Okay.
Some of them ran.
Like it was a ghost or something.
Yeah, yeah.
So where were you hiding that you could do that? Was the string like
Oh,
50
it was
feet long?
It wasn't that long, but it was long enough where we could get behind a tree or something.
I see.
But they would catch us doing
Okay.
that, and they thought it was funny after that.
Right.
So it wasn't anything that.
Right.
But it was funny. We enjoyed it anyway.
I bet you
I don't
did.
know whether they did or not, but we
Well,
enjoyed it.
I'm sure you laughed a lot. I've heard this, and maybe you can tell me if this is true or not, but I heard that, like on April Fool's Day, some of the store merchants would go to their store and find like signs on the wall that said everything like 95% off today or something like that. Do you remember any of that happening in town? I'm not saying that you did it. I'm just wondering if you heard about it.
No, I heard about it, but
You know?
I'm not sure who did that.
Did they also put soap in the fountain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we did.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we went to LaGrange, and they had a big fountain in the middle of town up there. It's still there. And we'd go up there and put different kinds of color in the water, and it would look really pretty.
Okay.
I mean, it was blue and red, and one time we put soap suds in there, and it had bubbles all over the place.
That's hilarious.
And they were upset about it to start with, but they thought it was pretty neat, so they started doing it. The town started doing it.
You gave them an idea.
Yeah, yeah.
What I find so interesting is like you were so busy. You were president of the high school class. You were in sports, and not just one sport, in many. And I'm sure you had homework, but you still had time to do all of this like it was, like part of the charm of being young and having the free time. I mean, today kids are playing with their phones and they're, playing on their iPads or playing video games, and you were outside. I'm assuming you got home from school and you were just outside till it was dark.
Yeah, well, you mentioned homework. What's that?
Oh, I'm assuming you graduated.
No, let me tell you. Everybody knew everybody. The teachers knew you, and if you didn't have your homework, you got really up. They got upset with you, and they would tell your parents, and your parents would get on to you. It was a good place to grow up.
Right.
I think everybody grew up with a good attitude. Nobody got in really bad trouble at all. It was just a great place.
Yep. Well, I appreciate you joining the show today and sharing those stories. It was a lot of fun, and I don't know, maybe when we have other, subject matters, I can have you back for you to tell us more about what it was like in Pine Mountain.
You want some worse ones now, or you want to wait till later?
Well, we need to have a different kind of interview.
yeah, we do.
But thanks again, Bo. I appreciate you
you're
joining
quite
in.
welcome. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Same to you.
This episode is brought to you by Spine Mountain Physical Therapy and Wellness Studio, offering hands-on physical therapy and small group fitness classes in strength training, Pilates, stretching, and mobility. At Spine Mountain, we bring joy into your life by helping you move better, feel better, and live better. Mention the Pine Mountain Then and Now podcast and get 20% off your first purchase of a fitness class pack. Now back to the show. Come celebrate spring by joining us for the 35th annual Pine Mountain Day Festival with arts and crafts, live music, sweet treats, pony rides, inflatables for the kids, food trucks, and so much more. It's this Saturday, April 5th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Hope to see you there. Putting on the Dog, the Humane Society of Harris County's premier fundraiser, is back. Join us on April 14th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Callaway Gardens Lodge and Spa for a fabulous luncheon and fashion show featuring local boutiques and adorable, adoptable cats and dogs. Enjoy a vendor marketplace, silent auction, and plenty of fun. Get your tickets at Doggone Good Treasures or call Karin at 762-822-9180. But hurry, the tickets are going fast. And you can support the cause all year long. Donate gently used items to Doggone Good Treasures, a Pine Mountain thrift store benefiting the Humane Society. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Special thanks goes out to Mr. Bo Hastey for being the special guest on today's show. The beautiful art and music for the show was created by Silly Bug Studios. My next episode is on Tuesday, April 15th. Hope to see you around town.